Let's talk some hoops action, and who better than to talk hoops action than the man who we found about a month or two ago, who apparently, according to him, the interview went so well, I ended up on YouTube, and I'm still kind of mad at him. You put my ugly mug on YouTube, man. I can't believe you did that. Stephen Barnard, Hardware Hoops Central, and host of Beyond the Arc on Block Talk Radio. What's going on, brother?
Hey, man, I'm just using the same one you put on the website, so if you don't like your ugly mug, you got some issues with cosmic broadcasting there, my friend.
I know, man, I know. I just put it this way. I mean, that picture it was a couple of months in the making. I have since then shaved, you know. I look a little better. I look a little more corporate, if you will. No.
There you go. Well, hey, put a better picture up, and I'll use a better picture for this one.
I ain't worried about it at all, man. How are things in the hoop end, dude?
Hey, man, not too bad. I'm down here in South Florida right now checking out some high school action for Hardwood Hoop Central, and it'll be a great day of games, So, all day hoops for me. Eat, sleep, and breathe it, so that's how it goes.
That's the way it is. And yes, you just made everybody else here eternally jealous. You down in South Florida doing your thing. That's all right. I'm gonna save a snowball for you when you get up here.
Yeah, I don't make it up north too much, to be honest with you. I like to stay in my warm Florida climate.
See, now we got to take a trip. Now I got to take a trip down there with an ice box, just to remind you of where we are. All right. Let's tell you what. Let's start off in the pros, and in the midst of the entire hype and the hoopla of the return of Kobe Bryant. LA Lakers are 0-3, and quite frankly, they can't figure. According to Mike D'Antoni, they can't figure out what to do with the Black Mamba. You got an answer at all?
I mean, to be honest with you, Kobe's at that point in his career where he's going to have to figure out what role he can actually fill. To be honest with you, the Lakers in general just don't have enough playmakers. I mean, it's funny to watch a Lakers team that just has really nobody. I mean, Pau Gasol has played well throughout the year. Nick Young has had a solid season off their bench. I mean, there's been a couple guys here or there, but you're used to seeing. I mean, it's Hollywood stars. You're not used to seeing Kobe Bryant being 14 points a game, hobbling around, not being able to get to the rim. So, to be honest with you, it's going to really come down to, and he's going to have to be able to make plays and still score because they just don't have it this year. But going forward long term, especially if they're going to really make a play for the 2014 free agency, he is going to have to start becoming more of a star role player. Instead of trying to be a star, guy that's going to be a ball stopper and try to be a scorer all the time. I was watching, I think it was a halftime interview they were just doing during the actual broadcast last night, and they asked him, I think it was Jeff Van Gundy that asked him, can you still lead the team and be the guy? And he just gave him, he gave him that typical smug Kobe look, like, of course, are you stupid? And I don't think so. I mean, he can still go out and score for you, but is it going to lead to a championship? It's not like he has enough in him left to actually take over games night in, night out, back-to-backs, 4 games in 5 nights. I mean, it's just too much. He's 18 years into the NBA, and by the time he's finished playing, I have a funny suspicion he'll probably go to, year 20, and if he's close to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, maybe if he can't get that 6th ring, like I don't think he will, maybe he'll just try to go for the scoring title to try to cement his legacy, because he's obviously close with that, as they pointed out last night in the broadcast. But to be honest with you, it's not going to be the same kind of guy he used to. Those types of injuries, and it's sad that it has to come back late into his career. But I just don't think he's going to be the same guy, and he's not going to be the guy that's going to lead this team. I'll be honest with you, I think they're going to struggle to even make the playoffs. So that 6th title, I think, is going to be the one that haunts him. Yeah,
and I'm with you there. But on the same token, we talk about the possibility of Kobe being that guy and being that number one scorer. Does it seem as if Kobe is almost willingly holding the NBA hostage in regards to what he can do, and holding the Lakers hostage in regards to what he can do? Because I think I'm kind of with you. There's us, and then there's a lot of other people out there that are saying, look, man, maybe just time to just take a back seat and possibly get some new blood in there. You can't run around at 38 and 39 and think you're the man. Isn't this Kobe's doing?
Well, I think it's the front office is doing. I mean, ever since they decided Kobe over Shaq, it's pretty much been Kobe's team. So I think Kupchak and I think that front office has set that precedent, And of course, as you become one of the elite players in the league, your ego gets bigger. When you win 5 championships, your ego gets even bigger. When you get mentioned in the likes of Jordan, Bird, Magic, and one of the greatest Lakers of all time, if not the greatest Laker, along with Magic Johnson, your ego gets even bigger. So, of course, at this point, they've gone beyond creating a monster. And you're dealing now with an icon who I don't think he's going to have the same kind of troubles letting go of the game that Michael Jordan did. But I think it will be something similar. I don't think he's going to retire and come back. But it's going to be hard for him to be willing and able to take that back seat. So I think it's been a doing ever since they decided to Shaq over Kobe. And, you continue to win. He continues to pile up, stats and gets championships after Shaq. So, the legend only grew. But I think it started there, and it's not our doing or the media's doing. I think it just started from the front office and the fact they continue to have success and only got bigger.
Stephen Barnhart of Hardwood Hoop Central on the line with us. Let's talk about the Indiana Pacers real quick. Showing a record of 20-3 or something of that nature, and not to mention a huge win over the Miami Heat on December 10th, a 90-84 victory. Is it too early to start talking about statement games and making statements within your conference as well as your division for the Indiana Pacers?
No, not in that regard. Now, if it was another team, sure, because the Eastern Conference is weaker than confetti paper this year. But to be honest with you, whenever the Indiana Pacers' message coming into the preseason, coming into the regular season was, if we would have had Game 7 at home, we would have won. So if they would have lost that game at home, even though it is early in the season, regardless, Dwayne Wade was playing that night. He wasn't sitting out, so he was at full strength. So if they would have lost that game, it would have given the Heat that kind of psychological edge of, you might feel that way, but we're coming in and doing it. It's like the guy who comes in and says, I'm really good at this, that, and the other, and when it comes time to prove it, somebody else shows up and does better. So they have to be able to get those wins, especially at home, because that was them tooting their horn coming into the season saying we would have actually been Eastern Conference representatives last year had we had this at our home court. And obviously that's been the biggest reason for them to make this big push in the very beginning of the season. You get out, you're starting 20-3, you already know the Heat are going to come out and have a good start to the season, so they have to, step it up even more to be able to get that home court. And I think that's going to be the goal for them. I think that's goal number one, is getting home court, and then actually making the NBA have to come to Indiana and prove that they can beat this team on the road. And if they can do that, to be quite honest with you, what I've seen out of them offensively and defensively, they're going to be extremely tough. The game I really liked seeing, and they lost, but it was against Portland, and it was on the road. But that was a game, I'll be honest with you, if that Portland and Indiana Pacers game, if that was a 7-game series in the NBA Finals this year, I would not be mad at all. That was probably hands down one of my favorite games all year. But Indiana's, this is their year to do something with the Heat. So if they really want to make a statement and take over the Eastern Conference, they have to do it now.
And you touch on another squad that has out and out surprised me just as a casual fan. The Portland Trailblazers doing huge things as of right now. 19-4 within 23 games, a quarter of their season gone, and they're known as one of the best teams in the West as of right now. Question one: have they surprised you in their performance? And number two, can they keep this up?
I think they can keep it up. I'll be honest with you, they've surprised me in terms of, I didn't think it would be this year. I thought maybe a year or two from now that would be when they made their push. I actually put all my chips on Houston being the team that would make the push this year, but it looks like Houston is going to be a team that's about 2 years away, and Portland's just trying to do it now. When you really look at Portland, where they've kind of hung their hat is they've been great in the fourth quarter. I was reading a stat last night that basically said that, in the last 5 minutes of games, that they are within 5 points. The Blazers lead the league in field goal percentage, 3-point percentage, and 3-pointers per game. So they're closing out games really well. You have to be able to close out games. That's how you end up winning a championship, and they're doing that. You add in the mix Robin Lopez and Mo Williams, adding some depth to a roster that last year didn't really have depth. You've seen developments in Wesley Matthews games. LaMarcus Aldridge is looking like an MVP candidate, averaging 24 and 11. And then, you just can continue to see the maturation of Damian Lillard. I mean, this guy just come into the league and looks like an elite level point guard from day one, and hasn't wavered since. And no, to just fly answer your question, I mean, I don't really see it. I thought maybe, but to be honest with you, they have done it night in and night out. And the stat that I read you just a minute ago was what really kind of put it over the top for me, because that's what you have to do, especially in the playoffs, because you're going to have those close games. You're not going to have blowouts. You're going to have to be able to close out games on the road, and so far they've been able to do that. So hats off to them for it so far.
Absolutely, Stephen Barnhart on the line with us. Just checking over some of the other ones, and I know we had a conversation about it last week with one of my colleagues here. I got to hear from you as far as what I consider the sad state of affairs in the mecca of basketball, New York City. New York Knicks not doing well. Brooklyn Nets putting together a dream squad and not doing well. What has to happen for New York City to get back on the map as far as hoops?
I mean, we talked about this on Beyond the Arc podcast about a week ago, and to be honest with you, these two teams have basically tried to buy a championship. I mean, you look at it; they have the 1 and 2 highest payroll in the league. The Knicks. J.L. Smith coming off injury, hasn't really played well. Raymond Felton, their starting point guard, has been in and out of the lineup. Carmelo Anthony, I don't think he's ever going to be, I shouldn't say ever, but I just don't see him being the type of guy that can lead a team to a championship. Stoudemire's starting to come on a tad bit, but don't get too happy, because he's one bad sandwich away from being able to be out for an entire season. I'll be interested to see how Tyson Chandler comes back. But it's not good when I have to say that Andre Bargnani has been their best front court player.
Wow.
That's not a good sign. And then when you look at Brooklyn, people said that was a dream squad. Let's really break this down for a second. They traded away all their draft picks for the 2014 to 2018 drafts. That means the next 5 drafts, they have no picks. So when you look at it, they're trying to win now, but they have no future. So they're 5 years behind, and they have nothing to really build on. They're going to continue to try and build this team through free agency, which, if you look around the NBA, you look at the top teams, you even look at some of the bottom feeders. You look at teams like Boston, building their team through the draft. Atlanta, Bobcats, Detroit, Washington, Cleveland. Chicago's going to have to start doing it if Lou Aldane doesn't stay, and I don't think he will. And they're going to have to, get back to it with the draft. But you just look at it. I mean, all of these teams are being smart, scouting, putting in the extra time to really figure out who's going to, be the guy for them in these drafts, and they're building their teams that way. Oklahoma City, Indiana, San Antonio, they started the blueprint on it.
Yes, they did.
So you have to really look around the NBA and say to yourself, is it that easy anymore? Can we just? It's not as simple as people say. Well, look at the Miami Heat. Well, yeah, you got the best player on the planet plus 2-star role players. He's gonna make that work. This isn't. He's not Kevin Garnett or Paul Pierce. Paul Pierce is gonna be coming off the bench. So you basically traded away your future for 3 old guys in a bucket of water. I don't get it.
Now that you bring it up, you're absolutely right. I don't get it either. But see, that's why we come to you, because you're the expert. I'm just the working stiff that has the mic. That's all I want to be. From Hardware Hoops Central, Stephen Barnhart. Hey, remind us one more time, where can we find you other than in South Florida enjoying the sunshine?
You can find us at hardwoodhoopscentral.com. You can follow me on Twitter at HW, stand for Hardwood, HW Hoops Central. And that's pretty much how you can get a hold of me that way. If anybody needs to get a hold of me outside of that for anything Hardwood Hoop Central related, my contact information is on the website. But I'm always tweeting good information. I think I've got a little over 40,000 followers at this point, so it must be working out.
Yeah, it must be working out. Hey, I only got like 26. I'm trying to do what you're doing. Stephen Barnhart, as always, thanks for coming on the program. We will definitely check in with you soon, man.
Not a problem. And just one closing note, my prayers go out to the victims and families of the Apple high school. And that's just a sad situation. I don't want to close something like that on a sad note, but I just thought, because obviously you have a large listener base, obviously based out of Colorado. Let's share that, because
Absolutely. Thanks for calling, man.